Our final speaker for the Wright Prize is sophomore Amaris Martins. Her speech is focused on Stoicism.
What if I told you that I had the solution for all medical conditions, relationship and financial problems, and all of life's greatest challenges? Well, I actually don't. But what I could offer you is Stoicism, a tool that could reframe your perspective to help you overcome these challenging situations. You see, life is too unpredictable. We could never truly know what is going to happen next and can hardly control things when they happen to us. One minute, you would think that everything is going good. You have a sense of peace and fulfillment and feel content with where you are in life. But then, in a single instant, something seems to go wrong. When things end up going wrong in our lives, we typically let it control us. Our emotions tend to spiral out of control, and we begin to feel powerless and overwhelmed by a sense of defeat. For most of us, we end up dwelling on this one single negative event. This cycle of negativity could be incredibly draining, impacting our relationships, work, well-being, and our overall perception of life. Even though we can't control every negative thing that happens to us, we can control how we respond to them and how we overcome them, leading to a better state of mind because Stoicism teaches us how. Centuries ago, Zeno, the founding father of Stoicism, was in a similar uncontrollable situation, much like the ones we face. His story offers a powerful example of how Stoic principles could be applied within our lives. You see, Zeno was a very wealthy trader in the city of Cyprus in 300 BC. While on a voyage to Piraeus, his boat sank along with all of his valuable cargo due to a storm. The storm was not something that Zeno or anyone could have control over. A once very wealthy merchant became poor in an instant. Imagine if you were in Zeno's shoes. Maybe you didn't lose cargo, but let's say maybe you lost your home, your health, a loved one, or something you truly value. In situations like Zeno's, we would be quick to blame life. But instead, Zeno responded to the situation with both acceptance and indifference, the two main principles of Stoicism. The first principle, acceptance, starts with understanding the reality that you cannot change things that are outside of your control. And since most things are outside of your control, it's about accepting that bad things can and will happen. Stoics practice this idea of acceptance through voluntary discomfort, which is when you allow yourself to be in challenging situations that test your comfort zone both physically and mentally. This could be doing tasks with your non-dominant hand, eating bland foods, camping, not spending any money, essentially not relying on things that bring you comfort. You see, each time you practice voluntary discomfort, you're indirectly preparing yourself for future misfortunes and the worst. You're learning how to not rely on forces you have no control over, but instead showing gratitude and appreciating the good even amidst the challenge. In a world where we find instant comfort from a lot of external sources, the idea of embracing voluntary discomfort might seem counterintuitive. However, voluntary discomfort becomes a training ground for acceptance. You see, each time you acknowledge and endure voluntary discomfort, you're chipping away the fear of the unknown, which builds fortitude and strength in the face of adversity. Now, when faced with unexpected misfortunes, you can approach them with a different mindset. You feel more confident when anything comes your way because you have proven it to yourself before. Just as pressure forms the most exquisite diamonds, undergoing constant pressure will shape you into a stronger, more resilient version of yourself. The second principle of Stoicism is indifference. Mastering indifference first starts with understanding what lies within your control and completely detaching your emotions from situations beyond your control. According to Epictetus, a Stoic philosopher, things that are within your control are things with your own doing, such as your own opinions and motivations, your own beliefs and actions, and the position that you take towards the world. However, what Stoics believe is not within our control are things that we have no agency over, such as the actions and choices of others, maybe even nature, illnesses, the aging of our bodies, or even societal events. Let's picture indifference this way. Imagine a surfer surfing in the ocean. The surfer doesn't control the waves or how the ocean flows. Instead, the surfer adjusts their own board and their own actions to accommodate the ocean, helping them to easily navigate through. Each time you practice indifference, you're allowing yourself to detach from unnecessary burdens, just like the surfer. The more you try to fight and take on things you cannot control, the more you'll become frustrated, burdened, and defeated. As the famous saying goes, worrying does not take away tomorrow's troubles. It only takes away today's peace. Consider all that you may be facing right now, whether it's bills that are piling up, an illness, a betrayal by somebody you love, or maybe you got rejected from the dream opportunity you wanted. It can feel like the world is working against you. But Stoicism could be your solution. Each time you practice acceptance and indifference in these challenging situations, you can take your mindset from powerlessness and frustration to empowerment and liberation. Thank you. What are some questions you guys have about Stoicism? I do find it appealing, not just because I'm a philosophy major, but I do find it appealing because it gives me a sense of how to navigate life. And basically, as I was talking about in the speech, we can't control things that we have no influence over. So when I face certain challenging situations in my life, whether it's academics, whether it's applying for internships, or things that I have no control over, when I practice Stoicism, it helps me to easily navigate that. Of course. So when I talk about Stoicism, right, Stoicism should only be applied on an individual basis. So this means that it should not counsel the injustices that are going on in the world. So the way how I like to think about this is Viktor Frankl. Many of you have most likely heard of him. He's a famous Holocaust survivor that wrote the book, A Man's Search for Meaning. And in his book, he talked about being indifferent to the situation. But once again, just because you're easily navigating the situation doesn't mean that we should ignore the injustices that are going on in the world. So to reiterate my answer, Stoicism should only be applied on an individual basis and should not counsel the injustices we see in society. Thank you.